James Harrison back again for another brush lesson for you. And before I get started, I want to pay homage, depending on what part of the country you're in, to one of my very favorite teachers and my first teacher. His name was Chuck Simons from Murray, Kentucky. And a lot of the brush patterns that I've used in these 10 videos, the framework or groundwork for that came from Chuck and some of his ideas. Not necessarily exactly the patterns, but a lot of the ideas came from Chuck. He got me very interested in the brushes. He was a fantastic brush player. And especially in video 1, the first pattern I did, and the school is out and all that, directly a rip-off from Chuck. But today I thought I would show my respects and show you a couple of specific patterns that he did show me that have to do with sambas, and touch on a few other samba ideas for you. And years ago, when Chuck showed me this first pattern, it actually came from a book that he had written in 1959 called Wire Brush Technique. It's by Chuck Simons and Joe Berryman. And there's a couple of patterns in that book that he showed me before I ever saw the book, and then years later I got the book, and I treasured the copy of the book that I have. And they're kind of unique in a way that they're, I don't know how to describe it, they're different than what you would normally hear for samba patterns. So I'm gonna demonstrate a couple of them for you. And the first one, we're gonna put the stick in the right hand and the brush in the left hand. Snares off so you have a tenor sound. And you're gonna play just a 2 and 4 here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you can be creative and slap it and do different things with it, but I'm just going to do it for a muffling sound. And on this hand, I'm going to play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So it's just 1 and 3 and. And what happens is you have this pattern. What you're going to do is play open tone 1 and 2, muffled tone on the end of 2, cross over and hit the brush on 3 and then 4, and then back on the end of 4 here, and then go over here for your 1 and that would be open. I guess you get this. Nice little samba groove of it. See if I can do that here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you put that over top of just a nice 1 and 3 on the bass drum. Boom, chick, boom, chick. You don't have to go with a regular samba pattern. That sometimes will cover up what you're doing here, especially with brushes. So I'm going to do it again with the traditional grip, and it's this 1 and 2 and 3. And you can change this. I actually like to muffle the head a lot with it, but again, slowly, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and have a nice groove to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And depending on what kind of pressure you put here, you can do it that way. That kind of gives you a little bit of a buzzy snare type sound. You can do that and get different sounds with it. Great. If you get it fast enough, it's a little hard to play really fast, but it's a fun pattern. I actually don't use it a lot, but it's kind of a lot of fun. If I have a gig where I have to play a lot of bossa sambas in a quiet situation, I like to use it because it's just so different. Okay? Another one that he showed me is the rim on one, a Rimshot. You kind of want that. I'm going to take this little star off here so the drum will ring a little bit. And it's more of that timbali type Rimshot sound. That's on 1. This again is on 2. And then it's and 3, 4, and 1. So 1. This is just the 2 and 4 again. You can hit it. What I do is I actually use it as a muffle. Make it. Okay, and you could try to hit an exact Rimshot every time. I actually think it sounds more authentic to kind of roll with the flow, hit and miss, whatever. It's, you know, so it's not perfect every time, but it's something like this. 2, 3, 4. So if you had nice, fast, galloping type samba, that's a nice pattern. 1, 2, 3. It's a fun pattern. Again, another one that Chuck Simon showed me. So, and you know, I mean, I like to pay respect to all the teachers I've ever had. Chuck was my first, and you know, you always have a special affection for your first teacher. One of his students at Murray State was my second teacher, a guy named Mike Ryan, who showed me a lot. And then Tom Van Arsdale, Richard McClendon, Mark Ford. I've had several quick, short sessions with Chuck Silverman and a lot of one-and-done lessons with people as they tour through and stuff like that. But those are the core of the people that I've studied with, but especially Chuck Simons. If you can ever find a copy of that rush book, you should get it. It's very entertaining, very fun to work on, and I have several recordings of Chuck playing jazz gigs where he never touches a pair of sticks hardly, and it's just a treat to listen to it. So I wanted to share those 2 patterns. And then a couple of other things that I've come up with when it comes to sambas. And I'm going to switch hands now, and I'm going to play a samba pattern that I like to use. It has a little bit of a muffling, sordo type pattern. Usually you get that kind of effect on the sordo on a floor tom. And this works especially well with a timpani mallet, or taking a brush and playing it on the floor tom. You know, closed, open, closed. But you can do that on a snare, and then take your left hand and play a very basic samba type pattern like. That, or I like to do one that's more like. Here's the beat. 2, 3, 4, 1. Again, I like to kind of shoot for certain rib shots, but not try to make it perfect. And I get this pattern. chicka boom, chicka boom underneath, or a boom, choom, 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 or just a nice light doom, choom, choom, choom. Again, don't try to be perfect. Try to purposely be rolling with the flow, and if it happens to hit and everything, that's fine. It actually sounds more authentic and stuff. And I mean, there's even times where I use my hand and do. You can do that kind of thing and use a brush in one hand and your hand in the other. Or do your that kind of a thing. There's a lot of things you can do with the samba patterns. If you go back to the bossa nova lesson, at the very end of it, there's a few sambas that I played there. If you'll take that, try that along with some of these that I just did here. I'm going to reach for the stick again, excuse me. Again. Or one of the chucks, the if that's exaggerated, it would be like this. Play it on top of the brush. Or off the side. And the other one, this actually has a crossing to it. It's 1 and 2 and, sorry, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Tricky. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. The only tones that are open are 1. Beat 1 and 2. Muffled. 3 and on the brush. 4 and 1 and so. Pretty hard to play fast, but it's kind of a fun medium samba type groove. Sit down and try all these and you'll have a lot of fun with them. Again, it just gives you more opportunities or more patterns to explore to throw together your own type of patterns for samba. And because if you ever play a night where you have to play more than one and you only know one pattern, it really can get kind of boring for the listener. And that's what you need to think about the most. Have some fun. Don't forget your Vater brush. See you in the next one.